Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my co-host, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. And today we're covering football. Week 1 just finished. It was an amazing week of football. We are now in week 2. We'll also get into some injury news, some pretty big injury news, actually, and the NFL as well. And then the MLB, we'll talk about a potential MVP candidate in the National League, as well as your weekly standings update. But to get us started, week 1 of NFL was great. We both predicted Eagles coming out on top of the Cowboys, and they did. It was a little bit weird of a game. Had a rain delay, not a rain delay. Had I think a thunderstorm delay.
Or something
Um,
like that. Yeah.
so that was pretty strange. But Eagles ended up on top, even though Jalen Carter, their defensive tackle, got ejected 6 seconds into the game for spitting on Dak Prescott. He was fine and he was suspended, but his suspension was that game that he missed. So he'll be back this week against the Chiefs. But yeah, week 1. And then Friday night, we both had the Chiefs coming out on top, but man, that Chargers team looked good. They look good. Um,
Yeah, that seeing them play against the Chiefs, and Herbert having a complete game, 318 yards, three scores. I know they're next for the Raiders, and it's kind of like, oh man, we got a new Chargers team here, man. And defensively, they were applying pressure to Mahomes, as well. So yeah, I think Harbaugh's doing what he does when he takes over a team. He's done it so many times throughout his coaching tenure, and some of that we saw already in the first game for the Chargers.
yeah, obviously, the Chiefs last Super Bowl. What lost them the Super Bowl? The offensive line couldn't block. What happened in week 1? The offensive line still couldn't block. Mahomes lost his wide receiver 1 and Xavier Worthy about 3 plays into the game. And they just couldn't block up front. They weren't really getting pressure to Herbert either. So it was a rough game for the Chiefs. They were in it because of Mahomes, but it was tough for them. Moving on, Dolphins Colts. I was absolutely stunned by this game. Colts
Yeah.
just demolished the Dolphins. There's not much to say. Tua Tagovailoa was awful. Hopefully he could bounce back this week. Because they paying him a lot of money, but he was bad. 3 picks and a fumble. It was rough. I had picked the Dolphins to win, but yeah, we picked Old Man Rogers to beat the Steelers, and he did. It was a great game. The Jets had a chance to win it. Fields threw a pass to Garrett Wilson with, I believe, like 25 seconds left, and Jalen Ramsey, the new corner in Pittsburgh, lights him up. He drops it, and Pittsburgh comes out on top. That was a great win, but it looked good for the Jets. Jets fans should be looking forward to something this season. Justin Fields looked great in his debut. So we'll have to see as the season continues. Panthers Jaguars. This game also had a weather delay. All I know that because I had a couple of guys on fantasy. But rough week 1 for Bryce Young. They got him a couple. They got him the new weapon in Tedero McMillan. I had him in my fantasy team. I was rooting for them more, and I thought the Panthers would win. But they lose 26-10. Rough game. Uh, for the Panthers. And on the other end, though, Travis Hunter, he played both sides. I mean, he didn't play much of corner, but he made a tackle as a corner. But he did pretty well at receiving. He had a couple of catches, about 30 yards, 30 plus yards. And yeah, but Cardinals coming on top, 20-13, a little bit low scoring. I was hoping the Cardinals put up more points, but Kyler Murray did his job at quarterback for me in fantasy. Commanders Giants, 21-6 Commanders, and Russell Wilson at QB might not last long for the Giants. Commanders thought they were gonna blow them out even more, but I think even John Gruden says that they gotta hand the keys to Jackson Dart. You drafted him 25th overall for a reason, and I think that's just something they need to get to.
Yeah,
But
something that we might see sooner than later, right? Like Russell Westbrook and even the Winston, they're a little bit on the older side, and Giants, Giants want to have any kind of chance. Put the young buck in there, just yeah, exactly. You drafted him, put him into the fire, so to speak, and let him get some experience and get better. And you got those veteran quarterbacks there that could help him that throughout the year and give him advice if Giants want to win some games. Well, that game was 6 points and very little offense, obviously, and that was it was a tough beginning for the Giants.
yeah, and the wide receiver one Malik Neighbors, he was not looking happy on the sideline. I believe he had like 12 targets to only 5 receptions. So that's something that you don't want. I drafted him, I believe, with my first pick in fantasy football. So it was not happy to see him only with 12 points. But yeah, coming out, yeah, they got to figure that out soon. they want to have a chance this year. Bucks Falcons. This was a close game. The rookie receiver for the Bucks, Emeka and Boku, I think I'm saying that right. He had a great game. No Chris Godwin to start the year for the Bucks. Falcons had a chance to tie it. Michael Penix looked good in his first season as a full time starter. They fell short. Young Wei Koo, he missed the game tying kick. Just weren't right, and Bucks end up on top. Down in Cincinnati, we talked about the Bengals signing their defensive guys. They got him signed, but man, it was just a I guess it was a defensive showdown down in I believe in Cleveland. Cincinnati wins 17-16. They barely escaped the Browns and Joe Flacco. So the offense didn't look great. I seen Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase didn't look too great. But they still end up 1-0. Heading over to Foxborough, Raiders faced the Patriots, and man, they looked good. It was a little bit of a rainy game, some more of a weather game. But Geno Smith was great. 300 and believe it was 364 passing yards. He had a touchdown. Brock Bowers 5 catches, 103 yards. He left the game early with a knee injury. We don't have an update on that. Ashton Jeanty was a little bit of a rough game. Like I said, it was a weather game. It was raining, so Patriots are stacking the box, stuffing up the run game. But the defense also held up well, and they ended up coming out on top 20-13. And in Seattle, we had Niners Seahawks. This was a rough game to watch. It was just kind of just both teams punting back and forth. Missed bad special teams by the Niners. Jake Moody missed multiple kicks. He ended up getting cut this week. Seahawks end up on top 17-13 due to a Nick Bosa game-winning strip sack. And in Denver, Broncos Titans, what I thought would be a decently nice win for the Broncos ended up to be a closer game than I thought. They ended up coming out on top 20-12 against the first overall pick and Cam Ward and the Titans. And then Lambeau Field, Packers Lions. I personally thought the Lions were gonna go and they lost the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator, but I thought they were gonna go in and get a win, but they did not. They got beat 27-13 by the Packers. The Packers look good. Michael Parsons looked healthy. He had a chase down sack on Jared Goff, and the Lions just did not look like a team. They looked lost a little bit. They looked like they didn't know how to really play football. Jared Goff struggled a lot, and that Packers team could go deep. They could make it. They might be able to make it all the way.
That's what happens when you mentioned they lost some of their coordinators, the Lions, and this is the effect. I mean, like you said, they didn't score enough and didn't make enough plays in the game to even come close to winning. And it's due to coordinators. Some of these good coordinators take off. They're an asset in the league, and a lot of head coaching jobs that come available. Those guys are usually first to leave, and yeah, you already see Parsons. He helped out in getting a sack down the end in the end of the game to kind of secure the victory for the Packers. And we've talked about that Cowboy game. They were missing a rush there. Jalen Hurts was running wherever he felt like it, which could have been a different story if Parson was on the field. And now flip side to that, Packers needed to play. They needed to stop as Lions were trying to, come back and get back in the ball game. Parsons makes the sack, and it's kind of like, putting an end to that game and giving the victory to the Packers.
Yeah, no, he was felt on that Packers defense. But moving on to Texans Rams, this was also a little bit of a struggle game. Rams come up on top, 14-9, low scoring game. They had a game sealing forced fumble against the Texans, but C.J. Stroud, 188 yards, 1 INT. I mean, he's struggling. It's been a little rough. Matt Stafford had a good game, 245, a touchdown. But it might be a tough year for the Texans. I mean, they're lucky, not they're lucky, but they're in a not that great of a division, so they still have a good chance of ending to the playoffs. But might be a long year. And we had arguably one of the greatest Sunday Night Football matchups in recent time. Ravens looked dominant. They were dominant this game. Until Josh Allen showed up. Josh Allen showed up. He took over the game. And in a game where the Ravens should have won 99 out of 100 times, this was the one game where they lost. They lose 41-40 in a game-winning field goal by Matt Prater. Matt Prater's still in the league. That dude's like 40 and he's still kicking. But yeah, I mean, in a game so close when Josh Allen has so many of the comebacks, a lot of people criticize John Harbaugh for not going for it on fourth down. We all know Lamar Jackson is an incredible quarterback. I mean, Derrick Henry had 169 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Lamar Lamar 209 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, I lost. This game cost me to lose fantasy. Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers did so well. I lost in fantasy. I was up by like 40 points in fantasy. Not even. I was up by like I think close to 60 points in fantasy, and those two ended up pitting up about 30 each, and I ended up losing. Um, but
Wow.
yeah, it was just the game's so close that they ended up losing, and the Bills just scrape out of this one. I mean, we talked about everyone talked about the Chiefs' devil magic last year. It kind of felt like the Bills had a little bit of some of that to start the year, so we'll see if that continues. But yeah, Bills come out 1-0. Ravens start the season with the loss, but I'm not. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm not too worried about that. Tough losses
Yeah,
happen. You
they showed they were able to put plenty of points on the board. Their defense just well, Josh. I mean, I know we could blame it on the defense, but Josh Allen just proved why he was, the MVP, and there's no questions asked. He went up against, uh, his colleague there who was, in the running as well, runner up, I believe, and it was either one of them two going to make, get the MVP trophy, and whoever questioned Josh Allen for getting the trophy, he wanted to shut him up, and wow, did he ever with his comeback that he had on Sunday night. I mean, I actually turned the game off at halftime because I was like, hey, Henry's running all over everybody. He's stiff arming, corners, linebackers, whoever's getting in his way. They're doing whatever they can to put points on the board. And sure enough, I checked my phone and, I don't know, there's a couple minutes left. And, Bills were about to score again. And I like switched right onto it. And sure enough, they pulled it out. So that was a great game.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game. And then on Monday night, rookie JJ McCarthy against the former first overall pick Caleb Williams. It was a rough start for the Vikings. I believe it was 10-6 at half. Um, Bears went up 17-6 after a pick six thrown by JJ McCarthy. Offense goes back out. It was a 3-and-out. I thought the Bills had won this game, and I was like, dang, I had picked the Vikings. I had faith in JJ McCarthy. And I'm glad I kept the faith because he came back and he showed out. Um, he came back and they put a back-to-back touchdowns and a field goal, and they ended up coming out with the win 27-24. I mean, the Bears offense struggled. The Vikings defense came alive in the second half, and they after scoring a touchdown their first drive, I swear I believe they were 0-8 on their next drives. I mean, that Vikings defense was shut down. Um, and they ended up coming out on top. JJ McCarthy, once he got settled in with Kevin McConnell, he looked good. And now on to week two. So week two, great matchup to Thursday Night Football. Commanders Packers. The young Jaden McDaniels versus Jordan Love. I got Packers winning. Um, I just think they're the better team overall. I think they're more experienced. Who do you got winning that? Who do you got winning Thursday Night Football?
It's like that Packers is going to have to show up. Their defense is going to have to show up that game there, and um, that's a tough one. I mean, I want to ride the Packers who are feeling good about that win that they had over the Lions. So I'm gonna stick with them. They're at home. Hopefully they keep that going, and I'll take the Packers and the new Jordan Love Parsons team.
And then we got Giants Cowboys, an old rivalry. I got the Cowboys. I thought Cowboys looked good enough against the Eagles and against the worst Giants team. I got the Cowboys easily coming out on top. Um, Steelers Seahawks. Steelers look great. Seahawks did not look great with Sam Darnold. Defensively, the Seahawks struggled too. I thought they should have easily beat the Niners, but they didn't. I'm going Seattle. I'm not going Seattle. I'm going Pittsburgh. I think Aaron Rodgers leads this team to another victory in week two. He was great. He had 4 touchdowns. He contributed the ball to a lot of people, and they played well. Defensively, though, they could have played a little bit better. DJ Watt was kind of getting locked down. But I got Pittsburgh coming out on top. Now we got Rams Titans. Cam Ward versus the Rams. I probably still will pick the Rams just because of the more experienced team. Matt Stafford, quarterback behind center. I mean, he's just too great to not win these games. So I got the Rams beating the Titans. Over in the AFC East, Bills Jets. After seeing Josh Allen make that comeback I don't know how you could pick against them. I'm going Bills. Bills over the Jets. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I think I'm gonna stick with the MVP after seeing that. After going against them last week.
Yeah, they're going to take care of the Jets. I think the Jets were, yeah, like you said, they were happy and surprised. I don't know if they were surprised or that's just what they were expecting from Justin Fields, but you're playing a better defense this go around, and I think and I think the Bills they get the second victory of the year.
Yeah, and then moving on, another AFC matchup, Patriots Dolphins. Like I said, it was a weather game between the Patriots and the Raiders, but their defense was solid. Offensively, they struggled a little bit, but that Dolphins team was a disaster last week. I'm trying to remember if I on my pick'ems if I picked the Patriots or the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure I believe I picked the Patriots. I can look at it right now. But who do you got winning in I believe in Foxborough.
I'm thinking
Um,
Tua and company and Hill they get back on track. I'm taking them.
you know
Um,
what? I did pick the Dolphins. I did pick the
Big Dolphins.
Dolphins.
So yeah, I think they get back on track and they're at home. It's going to be nice weather over there in Miami, so I think they're going to pull this one out, and the Patriots go 0-2.
Yeah, like I think it was hopefully a rude awakening call for the Dolphins. But yeah, hopefully they get back on track to beat the Patriots. Go 1-1. Down in I believe in Cincinnati, we got Jaguars, Bengals. Hopefully the Bengals, they did win this past week, but hopefully the offense comes alive. I think they beat the Jaguars. I think they're just overall got it more. I don't know how I trust the Jaguars offense. I mean, they did go up against the Panthers defense, so we'll see how that is. Now this is an interesting matchup. Niners Saints. Obviously Saints lost week one. Niners won week one. However, though the Niners will be without George Kittle, and they will also most likely be without Brock Purdy. He's dealing with a toe
It's
and
huge.
shoulder injury, so we do not know if he's going to play. Mac Jones is the backup, so Mac Jones will be playing. I still pick the Niners. I still think they got the team. Christian McCaffrey. Offensively, defensively, they still got Nick Bosa, um, Fred Warner. I think they got enough guys to beat the Saints, but it might be low scoring. It might be a tough game, but I think the Niners get out of it.
Yeah, is
But
this the upset special? Huh? I mean, yeah, it's a good point. Brock Purdy most likely not playing. Kittle is on the IR. Looks like they got banged up in that Seattle game, and um, Mac Jones. Let's see if he gets back to form like his first couple years with the Patriots. I believe he was a Pro Bowler either his first
he was a
year.
Pro Bowl. I'm trying to believe, was he Rookie of the Year too? I don't believe he was Rookie of the Year,
Yeah,
but
I
he
don't
was a Pro
recall.
Bowler.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I just like I said, I still think the Niners come out on top. Moving into the AFC. This is the North, yes. Ravens, Browns. I think the Ravens got to come back after that devastating loss. I think they'll come back and just pound it against the Browns. Um,
yeah,
moving into the NFC North, Lions, Bears. I think the Lions are gonna have a comeback victory. They, tough loss week one. Not even a tough loss, but it's just a brutal loss week one. Um, and I think they're just gonna. The Bears team, the offense is still a concern. Caleb Williams behind the center is still a concern. And I think the Lions come out on top. Moving in to an AFC matchup, Broncos Colts. I believe I picked the Broncos. No, I think I did. I think I picked the Colts. I thought the Colts were solid. Um, like I said, I thought the Broncos were gonna be better against the Titans. They were not. So hopefully the Colts come out on top. I think Daniel Jones. A lot of people doubted Daniel Jones. He played great week one. Hopefully it continues on to week two. So we'll see how that game goes. But I believe I picked the Broncos. I don't know about yourself, but I had faith. I didn't pick the Colts last week. They look
you have
great to
faith
me.
in Daniel Jones. Huh? I think he comes back to reality against the
Yeah,
Broncos
he might.
defense.
He might. He might come back to reality, and I wouldn't be shocked. But I'll put my faith in them. I'll
There
see
you go.
see how it goes. But I got the
You got
Colts
some
winning
cash
that
on the
one.
line, man. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just throwing them out there. You got money on the line. I don't.
Yeah. And then over Panthers Cardinals, I got the Cardinals. Then Kyler Murray and the Cardinals will just stomp all over the Panthers. That must be some history for the shortest QB matchup in history. 5'9" guy versus a 5'8" guy, but who knows? Um,
Hmm.
but I got the Cardinals beating the Panthers. And then we got the Super Bowl matchup, Eagles Chiefs. I think the Eagles take this one easily. I think they are just the Chiefs did not look good whatsoever. I think they will be they're without Rashi Rice. I believe they'll be without Xavier Worthy this game. And like I said, that defense was struggling against the Chargers. Eagles coming on top easy. Now we got another Sunday Night Football. Vikings Falcons. Two young quarterbacks drafted last year. Michael Penix versus JJ McCarthy. I believe I picked the Vikings. I think their defense is just really good. They're a really good unit. They're very physical. Um, I think it's JJ McCarthy's second game. I think he'll be better offensively, getting the connections with Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson. So I got the Falcons coming out on top, but I wouldn't be surprised if I got the like I said the Vikings coming out on top, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons ended up winning on Sunday Night Football. But I'm pretty it's kind of weird how they go from one great matchup for Sunday Night Football and then they go to Vikings Falcons. You would think they'd put the Chiefs Eagles at Sunday Night Football, but that's
This is the
okay.
Kirk Cousins Bowl right here, right? I mean, this is two teams that
Yeah,
had Kirk Cousins. Is Kirk Cousins even on the team? Is he the
I think
backup
he's
on
still
the
he's still on the
Falcons?
he's the backup on the Falcons.
He's
So
the backup on the Falcons.
yeah, but yeah. So that's and then we got double Monday Night Football. I still don't know how I feel about this. Kind of strange. You got a game at 4 o'clock, game at 7 o'clock, but Bucks Texans at 4 o'clock on Monday. I got the Bucks. They looked good. They didn't look super great against the Falcons, but they looked good. They'll probably end up taking the division again this year. And the Texans, like I said, they struggle, and I don't see them beating the Bucks. And then at 7 o'clock, we got the Raiders versus Chargers. Now this is probably, hopefully, going to be the game of the week. I will be a little bit biased here. I'm likely going to go with the Raiders. I thought I saw enough from them, especially in a weather game where it was raining and field wasn't in the best condition. They're going to be indoors. Geno Smith is great indoors. Um, him and Herbert are probably going to be trading touchdowns back and forth passing wise. It might be a little bit of a struggle for the Raiders offensively. They'll likely be without Brock Bowers. We'll get more into it later, but hopefully this is the game Ashton Jeanty gets going. Hopefully it's a good game. Both defenses looked solid week one, but I got the Raiders winning. Like I said, it's gonna be a little bit biased there, but I think the Raiders come out on top, and I think either one of these two teams ends up dethroning the Chiefs and taking the division.
Oh, there you
Um,
go. Yeah, the two games on Monday night. I'm not a big fan of. It's like they're trying to squeeze in another game. A lot of us are still going to be at work or maybe coming home from work for that first game. So really not going to even pay attention to that one. But back in my day, we had one game on Monday night. It was a big event. It was kind of like the Sunday night game. How that's a big deal. That's the only game at night. So Monday night used to be one game. That's how I like it, the old style. Some of the best announcers and the best games of the week were played on Monday night. This one, they do have a good matchup. These two rival teams going at it, and with big aspirations, right? You got Herbert with the big win, Geno Smith with the big win. Someone's going to walk away with the L. So hopefully Allegiant Stadium's filled with, hopefully 90% Raider fans at least, keep the Charger
yeah,
fans
pretty
out of
sure.
there. Keep
I
home
think
for
the Yeah, pretty sure the prediction of like who was filling up. Well, I think it was like 86% was gonna be Raiders fans. I believe 14% was gonna be Chargers fans. But yeah, another thing about the double Monday night game is it pushes out the second game to 7 o'clock. I mean, like people on the East Coast want to watch this football game, and this game's starting at 10 o'clock for them. So like, I think they should just stick to the number one at 5 o'clock, 5:15. I think it's perfect time. I think it's perfect for everyone. I think they just need to stick to one. But that's the final um, our final prediction for week two. This is being recorded on Wednesday. This will come out Thursday, so Thursday Night Football will be played today. Um, however, though, we do got some NFL just injury or news, NFL news. Biggest one being, like I said, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Brock Purdy. They say he's a long shot to play versus the Saints with the toe and shoulder injuries. Kyle Shanahan um, was saying, that he's dealing with the two injuries that he got during the Seahawks game. They say the toe injury is more serious than the two, and they don't know how long he'll be out. They say he could be out a couple weeks. Like I said, Mac Jones is the backup. Like you said, mentioned earlier, George Kittle is on the IR with the hamstring injury. Um, so like I said, that's gonna be tough for the Niners. We got to see if they could persevere through it. But um,
Yeah, it's a
that's really
tough loss for the Niners, or even if it's going to be official soon, I would think. But you got a bad toe, then he's not going to be moving too well in the pocket. Um, but I mean, like we were talking about earlier, I think Mac Jones with that Kyle Shanahan offense, I think that's enough to get past the Saints. Um, to because right now in that division, Cardinals winning, Rams winning, you can't afford to go down 1-1 where the other guys potentially could go 2-0. So, yeah, I think they pull it out. You got Christian McCaffrey, just feed him the ball. I know he's been dealing with some injuries too, but they gave him a heavy dose. He played a big amount this last game, so I would think that they ice him up and put him out there and kind of feed him the ball. Just keep feeding him.
yeah. Yeah, they're gonna rely on McCaffrey a lot, and they needed to. But like I said, he's just so amazing. He looked good this past week. Probably look even better this week. But yeah, Mac Jones just needs to not panic in the pocket. He can't force the ball. He can't turn over the ball. But I think they'll be all right this week. I don't know what their upcoming schedule looks like after that, but I think they got it this week. Other Niners news, they waived Jake Moody. The
Yeah.
rookie or the guy they drafted in the third round a couple years ago. I remember I laughed when I saw that pick live. I said, "You drafted the kicker in the third round." Okay, and yeah, now he's waived. He struggled bad. Like I said, he missed a 27-yard field goal last week. He also got one block, so it was a rough week for Jake Moody, and it just got even worse. So they moved on from Jake Moody. Other news: Jabril Peppers signs with the Steelers. Um, Another thing I want to bring up: Kevin O'Connell, great head coach for that
Yeah.
Vikings team.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
head coach. He might be top five in the league. He's ever since taking over for the Vikings, they just all they've done is won.
Yeah.
He made Sam Darnold. I don't know if he made Sam Darnold, but he
It's
made
his
Sam Darnold look
offense.
like a top 10 quarterback last
It's
season.
his
Um,
offense. He put that in when
yeah,
he got the head coaching job, and yeah, I would say he got Sam Darnold paid. You know what I mean? Sam Darnold
yeah,
went from what two teams at least that I could think of that he was on before the Seattle before the Vikings, I should say. Had that great year last year, got paid this year, and I would say he owes Kevin O'Connell a Rolex or something. But yeah, no, he's just getting started now. But yeah, I would agree with you. He's one of the better coaches in the NFL, and even to have enough faith to put a rookie in there, JJ McCarthy, just like
yeah,
what, and he hasn't had a lot of experience
hmm
preseason or anything, right? And so
yeah, and like
to put him in the starting lineup, I would say, yeah, he's a confident guy.
yeah, like I said, they struggled offensively in the first half. Obviously O'Connell made adjustments. He made it for McCarthy, and McCarthy showed up. I mean, they were executing plays. He was calling great plays for him. Even got him the rushing touchdown. I mean, yeah, Kevin O'Connell, great head coach, and he'll be in the league for a long time as a head coach. But Vikings, they got a great head coach in them. Um, but that will be all there is for football. Moving on, still not much NBA news, not much going on in the NBA. The only thing that I can think of is the Kawhi scandal, where
No.
they had like some company pay him, but there's not enough on that yet. In the MLB, before we get to the standings update, I want to talk about one guy and one guy only. Kyle Schwarber, Phillies left fielder, DH. I don't know what you want to call him. He hit 50 home runs, 50 home runs, 120 RBIs. He's only batting 240, but 50 home runs. He's been great. Not even he's been fantastic this year for this Phillies team. Um, and who knows? Maybe I don't know. Does he deserve the MVP? I know we all talk about Otani, but Kyle Schwarber he's
I
been
think
great.
Yeah,
You
he put
can't deny it.
himself in that conversation, right? I mean, you got a few guys you're talking about. You mentioned Otani. We spoke a lot about Cal Raleigh. Kyle Schwarber just knocked his 50th home run, like you said, 123 RBIs. His batting average is about the same as Raleigh as well. He's also got, I mean, the Phillies. That's the other thing is his team is winning. You know, they're a um, National League leader right now. The Phillies, and they'll be in the playoffs, and I think that does has a big thing to do when they go and start voting to see who's going to be MVP. So I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah, obviously we know Shohei he goes both ways. You know, this year he's pitched in 12 games, started 12 games. He's a 3.75 ERA, only 36 innings. So he hasn't pitched a crazy amount of innings. Batting wise, he's at 48 home runs, 92 RBIs. He is batting 280. Um, but yeah, I mean, Schwarber's like we had the conversation with Judge. You know, Judge is just so great. You know, everyone automatically suspects him to be MVP. But this season, Cal Raleigh's been fantastic. This is kind of happening in the National League. You know, Shohei obviously, people believe, he's going to win the MVP, but Kyle Schwarber is doing something that's just fantastic. You can't just deny it. You can't just ignore it. What he's doing, I don't know. We got to see.
He's a, and then
Coming down.
of course we don't want to dismiss Aaron Judge. I mean, he's still he's still up there. He's batting. He's the top leader in batting average, 319. He's got 44 homers, and I'm sure he'll most likely reach the 50 plateau. You know, when it's all said and done, barring any injuries. But he's got the Yankees. Number one team in the East. They're 80 wins, and they're going to be making their usual annual push, in October.
Yeah, yep, just a race to October, like you said. The Brewers just got swept. I'll get into my standings update really quick, but yeah, just so many teams. Giants have been red hot as of late. They're back in the playoff hunt. But I'll get into that right now. MLB weekly standings update. In the American League, Blue Jays lead the AL East. They have 83 wins. They're three games above ahead of the Yankees. Red Sox are also at 81 wins. Those three teams most likely will end up in the postseason. And the AL Central, Tigers 84 wins. Guardians 9.5 games behind. It's be tough for the Guardians to try to squeak in. Same with the Royals. I'm in the AL West. Astros at 79 wins. Mariners at 77. Rangers at 77. It's a tough, close race there, but we have to wait and see. The National League is where it is. Phillies 86 wins. They're 10 games ahead of the Mets. Mets at 76 wins. Brewers still have the most wins in baseball. They're at 89 wins after they just got swept. 89 wins. Cubs are at 83 wins. Reds are at 74 wins. They're in the hunt, the Reds. And then the National League. Padres are 2.5 games out from the Dodgers. They're at, Dodgers 81 wins, Padres 79 wins, and then like I said, the Giants and the Diamondbacks 74 and 73 wins. Those two teams are about a couple wins away from the wild card. So with the weeks counting down and October getting close to us, it's gonna be an exciting race to see who ends up playing baseball in October. But
Did I
that would
before? Did I tell
oh
you about?
yes.
I know I should have brought it up when we were talking about home run, the home run race, and I don't know if you saw this, but this is on Instagram. It's on the tops. It's sports car news. Um, there's a woman who purchased a Cal Raleigh. It's a one of one. They call it a superfractor. So there's only one of these. It's autographed. She bought it in 2024 for $300. And then she just recently sold it for $63,000. It's out there,
60.
Drew. You gotta
Dude,
find it,
that is
Drew. Who's the next
crazy.
Cal Raleigh?
63,000.
63. So she bought
And
it
he hasn't, and
2024.
he hasn't even won an award yet. I mean,
It says
he's
right
won. I mean,
here.
he's won a couple of awards. He's been an
Yeah.
all star. But imagine she waited and he won an MVP. I mean, who knows? Maybe if he didn't win
Well,
MVP,
yeah,
his value
that's
would have
what I mean.
dropped.
Can you imagine that? That person who
But yeah,
bought it for
imagine if
63 could turn that to 100.
they could make if he wins MVP, that definitely would add the value. But
It,
that's crazy. $300 card
it
equals
says
to
right
sixty
here
thousand.
63, yeah. So it says right here, she believed in Big Dumper in 2024. This collector purchased the Cal Raleigh one of one superfractor autograph for just $300. Less than 2 years later, she sold it for $63,400. His most expensive card ever, obviously. But
And the thing is, he wasn't even bad last year. He was pretty good last year. I'll pull up his stats, but continue.
People are getting, yeah, people are getting it. With that hope of, yeah, maybe he gets the MVP and there's that opportunity. Maybe you reset, or it's just collectors. Someone. She was obviously a Raleigh fan, and but when you have that kind of profit, there you have to sell it.
Yeah, I mean last year, he only had a 220 average, but he still hit 34 home runs, 100 RBIs. He walked 70 times. Um, yeah, he wasn't bad last year. Obviously, not having the year he's having this year, but dang, $300. That lady got a steal, and then she flipped it for 60,000. That's just great for that lady. That
those
lady
hey,
definitely
those
hit the
deals are out
jackpot.
there. Who's the next guy? Who's the next guy or girl? I mean, who maybe there's a WNBA. Caitlin Clark's kind of, her cards are already pretty much kind of out of reach. They're already on the high side. Who's somebody that's a no name right now that you pick them up and next thing you know, 63,000.
Yeah,
We'll have
we'll
to
have
look
to
for that,
see.
Drew.
We'll have to look. We got to start looking. Got to look at guys who had like pretty good years this year and have the
Yeah,
chance to take the lead next year. But
there you
that's
go.
crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. But that will be all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to thank my co-host, my uncle, for joining me today. Don't forget we're on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Spotify. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay ready.